Talk365's Talking Wellness segment is brought to you by the Certified Hypnotherapy Training School with wellness team expert Dennis Parker.
Hey everybody, welcome to Talk365's Talking Wellness series. If you are watching this video right now, it means that you saw Dennis and I on Talk365 and you want more information, and I'm telling you, you have come to the right place because I have given Dennis a power nap. He's had 5 minutes in the chair and he is ready to talk longer with me, aren't you?
I'm ready.
Do you need 5 more minutes?
No, I'm good.
I haven't exhausted you too much?
No, we're good.
Okay, so today we are talking sports, we are talking sales associates, and why hypnotherapy works so great for both of those. I know you got a lot of examples that we didn't address, so let's just first start at the beginning. We'll talk a little bit like we did in the show about how it works and why it works, and then, you know, I just want some more examples. I want you to talk more about people who have actually benefited, specific stories. Just, you know, go long, Dennis, tell the whole story. Feel free, we've got the time, it's the website, we can talk forever. Don't you think they want to hear us?
Okay.
All right, here we go.
Okay, well, there's several factors to it. The first one is when you mentioned performance anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
Anxiety, as people want to call it, anxiety or fear, or people give it different labels, you know, worry, whatever. Those emotions are generally created naturally by having a negative expectation of the outcome.
Okay.
So if we think something's going to go poorly or go wrong for us, then normally the natural response to that is we're going to have some fear or anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of that is about how do you change the expectation of the outcome in the mind in advance.
Mm-hmm.
And if somebody has past memories where they didn't perform well, so let's say in sports, for example, I worked with one LPGA player that every time she got on the 14th hole of this particular golf course, she always had this image in her mind that she was always going to slice it off to the right, right?
Okay.
So the problem is that every time she did that on the tee box, every time she let that former memory go through her mind, actually what happens is, people want to call it muscle memory, but I don't believe that actually exists. In my world, everything starts as a thought.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have the thought and the memory of doing that last time, and you let that same thought go through your mind just before you perform, that thought through the imagination is what sets the body up to do that same thing again.
Wow.
So when we teach people how to control their thought processes in those ways, and they can stay out of those former memories or restructure or reconfigure those memories in new ways, now they're not setting up to do the same old thing. They now have a new pattern and they can perform at a new level.
Oh my goodness. So I'm immediately going to being a ballet major from the University of Utah. Really prestigious, great school, great education. Go you ballet department. But I always learned muscle memory was a thing, and it was so important that you develop the correct muscle memory, and I think it is to an extent, but where I know you are 100% right that there is something in that theory that just doesn't work. In studio, I could do 2 and 3 turns every time. I was a turner. In a performance, nope. Not consistently like that. You put me on the stage, you put the lights, that anxiety rising, I couldn't do it like there. But in studio, so if muscle memory were 100% true, what I could do in the studio, I should be able to do on the stage, no problem.
Exactly.
It's in the mind, it's that thought.
Exactly, and so what we need to be able to do is go in and work with the athlete or the salesperson, because sales is the same way in the extent that somebody went into the boardroom, they gave this big presentation and it was a bomb. Every time they go into the boardroom, if they haven't correctly dealt with those things or cleared those out of their minds correctly, they go back into the boardroom thinking this may also be a bomb. That's what generates all that anxiety. It's this negative expectation of the outcome. So we teach people how to change those thought patterns and how to create a positive expectation of the outcome. When you do that, you change anxiety and fear into enthusiasm and excitement. And we believe that the emotion in the central nervous system is identically the same emotion. It's just what we choose to call it or label it based on our expectation of the outcome.
Ooh, okay, I'm gonna make you slow that down because this is something we've talked about a lot. And I actually so love this because I am a former sufferer of a lot of anxiety. A lot of panic, a lot of anxiety. It wasn't debilitating. I definitely knew how to manage it, but it didn't mean my heart wasn't pounding or I wouldn't get that slow down effect of having it happen. And what you are saying is that the same feelings you are feeling when you're having that anxiety, your heart pounding, you're starting to get nervous, you're starting to sweat, If your emotional content going through your head is thinking excitement and happiness and creating awesome in your life and your world and things are awesome around you, it's the exact same chemical breakdown in your body. The same thing is happening when you're excited and happy and super great in your life and your world as when you're panicking and having an anxiety attack. Only difference is your thought process, which is amazing because you change the thought, you change the experience.
That's right. So by learning to manage those thoughts again, and what we call mind management here, is we teach people how to do those kinds of things. So for example, yips in golf, and you brought that up. Yips in golf is an anticipation of doing the same mistake over and over again. And so when a person comes up and as they go to perform, just before the stroke, if they have that same thought go through their mind they've always had, well, I always do this in this deal, then the body sets up and performs the way it has been told to perform through their mind and their imagination. But again, it's a matter of teaching people how to restructure that, how to change those thought patterns so they have a different outcome as they have a different expectation of the outcome differently than the old negative expectation of the outcome. And that really does change everything.
I think the best yip example is Charles Barkley, right? Sir Charles?
He's a classic, yeah. It's fun to watch him.
Oh my goodness. Do you not want to get your hands on him? You can almost see that it's happening. You can almost see the thought process when you think about it that way.
Yeah, well, the other thing that we do in hypnotherapy for sports performance is that people have in their subconscious mind, they have fixations of past experiences again that are still emotionally charged. So fixation is a memory that carries emotion with it. So when you think about it, you get angry still, or you get fearful, or you have some other reaction to the memory. And so just a quick story, I worked with one collegiate golfer who was preparing to go on the LPGA tour. And what her coach was telling me the problem was that every time she would hit the ball, her drives would be short, her iron shots were short, her putts were short, and they were accurate. She was always right on line, she was on target, she was getting all of the fundamentals accurate, but as far as her distance went, she never had the distance. And she was a tall girl, she was actually out of England, and she was here in Arizona when I was working with golfers down there. And so we did the session, and through these processes we can go back into the mind and actually trace the emotion back to the thought process that's actually creating the problem. And in her thought processes, she had two experiences in her youth that had actually set her up for this problem. One of them was her father was a big golfer and wanted her to be a major golfer and started her out very young, 3 or 4 years old. But she had this memory of being in the house, and her father was teaching her how to golf as a 4-year-old. He told her, now swing at it, honey, and hit this ball. And she took this hard swing as hard as she could. The club came back over her head, and her father was behind her coaching her. She caught him in the side of the head and cut him all the way along his head.
Oh no.
Yeah, and he started bleeding profusely. If you ever seen head wounds, head wounds.
Oh, they're terrifying.
Yeah. So he was there alone with her, and she remembers him putting a towel on his head and driving down to the hospital. And she had this fixation and belief in her mind that if I ever give something all I got, somebody's going to get hurt.
What? That gives me chills.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so the next experience she had 2 reinforcing experiences. She was in school in 6th or 7th grade. She was playing kickball. And she decided one day, the bases were loaded in her little kickball game. And so she decided, everybody wanted her to kick a home run, right? So she gave it all she got, and she kicked that ball as hard as she could. And just at the time, it went off track a little bit, but just at the time the ball was sailing out there, her teacher opened the back door to have everybody come in from recess, and this ball hits the teacher right in the face.
Oh no. Oh
yeah.
no.
And so the teacher's upset and yelled at her and, took it out on her. And so she had these 2 reinforcements that if I give something everything I've got, somebody's going to get hurt. And that was the subconscious belief that was holding her back and never allowing her to take full swings and get the full distance out of everything that she needed.
And prior to having hypnotherapy, Were those memories at the forefront of her mind?
She
Was that
didn't-
something she
she
recalled?
She had no idea that that was the problem, what was going on.
Wow.
But that's the beauty of what we do, is we know how to work with the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. And certain levels of hypnosis or trance, pondering we call it, give us access to the conscious and the subconscious mind at one and the same time. So the person can finally consciously know what it is that's really bothering them down here. And then through our processes, we help them restructure it, reframe it, whatever term you want to use. Desensitize from those experiences by altering the perception of the memory, desensitizing the imagination, and then that collapses the emotional content. Now the anxiety, the fear of giving it all she all she has again is gone, and now she's hitting all of her distance as well as her accuracy, and her game is vastly improved.
I think that process is what you call mental toughness, or at least it's part of that whole process of becoming mentally tough to be able to control and get to the bottom of things quickly. And sales and sports require that, right?
Yeah. So we have a program where we teach people in sales and sports, but on the sales side, we teach more of the interpersonal communication skills, because hypnosis is really, and being a hypnotherapist is really a lot about communicating. But where most people have their behavioral issues is intrapersonal communication problems. Intrapersonal communication problems means they have problems in their communication between their conscious mind and their subconscious mind. And you can direct the subconscious in ways that are non-productive and actually double binding. So we can use certain verbiages that actually bind us up, freezes us in our mind, causes us to be stuck, if you will, instead of freeing us up and allowing us to have the liberty to go do what it is we really want to do. So intrapersonal communication skills is an important part of mental toughness. Then we like to go in and we like to desensitize those sensitizing events that are inhibiting people and holding them back, just like I explained with the young lady. And then we teach people what we call our advanced positive mind management skills. And what those skills do is they give a person complete control over being conscious. They know when they're in their subconscious, imaginations, memories, and emotions. And we teach them how to manage their emotions through desensitizing their own imagination. And the imagination and understanding the imagination is our big claim to fame or whatever, is we figured out how the imagination works. And that the imagination, by amplifying it, actually turns emotional content up. By decreasing the imagination, it actually decreases the feelings of the emotion or turns them down. And when you learn to turn the imagination all the way off, you can also turn the emotion all the way off. And it doesn't take long to do that. So people can come in and learn how to manage anger, fears, anxiety, whatever they want to control in their emotional world. And so when you apply that to both sales and golf and sports and other things, it becomes very, very powerful.
Absolutely. Well, you sort of threw that away a little on the positive mind management, because I will tell you this, Dennis has been in this field for over 25 years. He's been practicing this. He's written books. He knows the founders. You have discovered how the imagination works. Over the course of this isn't something that everybody who is practicing clinical hypnotherapy understands. This is exclusive to Dennis Parker, this ability to learn how to control the imagination, how it relates to your emotions, and how then if you have control of it, you can change your behaviors. You can get rid of the yips. You can not have anxiety. You can feel excitement. You learn how to do that on your own without the need of a therapist helping you through it. This is just his thing, which is why I'm here, because I want people to understand what a gift you are to us and what a gift the school is and what a huge opportunity it is to get in here and take this class, because I know you have budgets out there. Everybody out there right now probably has something set aside to do some kind of continual education in the field you're in, or just personally you want to do something that would be inspiring, go and take one of those lectures or something like that, or you've got money set aside that you're going to therapy to better your life that way. I'm saying, come here, take the school. Become certified in hypnotherapy, either to become a therapist if you want to change your life in that way and have a whole career change, or have this be your career, or have it benefit you in sports, in performance in any aspect of your life, it is absolutely amazing. It will change it. It will up your game no matter what you do. Speaking of upping your game, if you are a salesperson or you are a sales manager, right now you guys are doing a special thing for salespeople.
What we're offering is we're teaching salespeople these new mental skills and teaching them emotional skills that will help them to overcome all of the natural fears that salespeople experience, you know, fear of rejection, fear of failure, fear of I'm not good enough, and how to actually have greater self-discipline and stay out of a sales slump. So salespeople have rejection all day long. How do you recover from that instantly and keep going and do your best on every new sales call? So it's very powerful. It really has helped me in my career. And just so people know, I was a sales manager for 30 years and managed a sales force of over 100 salespeople in a 3-state area. And this is an area that I'm very familiar with and have used these processes with for many years.
And you worked with your team all the while during your career, helping them overcome their fears and
Right.
bettering their sales abilities, and it was a positive thing, right?
Yeah, it allowed us to, our division led the company year in and year out in sales growth,
No big deal.
margins, gross profit. Yeah, it was fun.
He was just always the leader in sales, just magically, and they would come out and lock him in a boardroom and ask him, "What are you doing, Dennis Parker, to do this every single year?"
I shouldn't have told you that story.
I love that story. That's amazing. If you are someone that is in Dennis's shoes and you're managing a team of sales associates or a team in general, I would say come and take this because it will definitely teach you how to do better in what you're doing already, sales specifically. And I would say, man, I can't help but think of being an actress, and especially in LA and auditioning all the time. It's the same thing as a sales call. I often say that we're the product at the end of the day.
Well, it is, and sales is acting. I mean, every new client you go into, you need to communicate with them in their preferred communication modes. You need to make a number of adjustments in the way you present, the way you communicate, and your understanding of what's going on in the call. And so there's a lot of things that we'll actually teach people how to do that will increase their closing rates, improve their overall enjoyment of the process. And to be a commissioned sales rep is a mental game in and of itself because you've got to be willing to bet on yourself. When I was hiring salespeople on a regular basis, I mean, what I always said, we were always looking for junkyard dogs. A junkyard dog was a person who had the mentality or would accept the mentality of mental toughness that we're talking about, so that when they went into the dog fight, into the boardroom, made the presentation, they're the ones that would come out with a bone. You know,
I
because
like that analogy. I need to be a junkyard dog.
well, because in commission sales, you don't get paid unless you sell. It's not horseshoes. You know, you don't get paid for being close. You get paid for getting orders and taking care of customers. And so we teach people those kinds of mental skills that will help them be very, very successful.
Oh, that sounds amazing. I definitely need that because you said the specific preferred type of communicating. I don't know what that means, Dennis. I have not been communicating in a preferred method, obviously. We have work to do.
We do.
We have work to do, and you know what? So do you. All right, thank you for joining us on our special wellness web series. Be sure and check out all of our videos that we have there from the Talk365 Wellness series. There's more information. There are great things in every single one of them. And if you're interested in becoming a certified hypnotherapist and joining the school, be sure you tell them that Talk365 sent you. Get that textbook discount. And, tell Dennis to teach me how to power nap so that I can slow down once in a while and stop keeping him here so long.
We can do that.
Yeah?
Yeah, we'll teach you that.
Caffeine is a tool, Dennis. I don't always have to nap.
Well, I nap instead of caffeine.
So much better for you. I have so much to learn.